Funnily enough, my journey to being productive and present simultaneously started in college, but climaxed as I moved to the Netherlands. My brother spent 3 months looking for an apartment in Utrecht, and when I came to Enschede, therefore, I prepared for war. I had this whole siege plan laid out. I got carrots, I got peanut butter, the most important thing of all, and a large amount of patience. And I knew that the Netherlands is actually 3 times more population dense than China, which, now that I think about it, explains why people stand so close to me in the trains. So I prepared for a lot. I booked a week and a half at the Little Monkey Hostel in Enschede. I sent out 35 housing applications in the first 2 days. And then I found a studio apartment, which I'm sitting in right now. You would be able to see it if not for the space background behind me. In literally the first day, I found this. So that was pretty anticlimactic. And what I realized is this wasn't a journey about discovering presence for the first time. I've done a lot of reflection, shadow work, and meditation. This is a journey about what it means to hold productivity toward a greater self and presence together. We feel this paradox more than we actually like to admit. You feel it on a Tuesday when you're studying for an exam and just want to play some video games. You feel it standing at the career fair and wondering, do I really just want to make an authentic connection, or do I want to make something that will boost my career in the long term? Not necessarily not aligned at all, but totally could be. Why can't we relax on a Tuesday? How do we build a self less defined by the stuff that we do? And most importantly, why might building that self that can be present actually be bad? Might we have a good reason to avoid it? I don't have the answers to these questions, but what I do have is I have a Dutch bike, I have a book by Krishnamurti, and I also have a story about a goat. So let's start there. Before I secured the apartment, I was biking around the University of Twente campus, and I checked my housing notifications 3 times in literally 10 minutes. Then, sitting at a coffee shop afterward, I was juggling between, should I start outlining another conscious college video, or should I just sit and take in the smell of stroopwafels and bread and coffee, since I've been in Enschede for so little amount of time? And then later that evening, I met someone at the hostel I was staying at who was an exchange student. They're going to be in the University of Twente for 2 months. And the only thing that I could think was, okay, this person seems cool, but also, do I want to get to know someone who's only going to be here for 2 months? Enschede tasted like fresh Sunday bread, and here I was bringing my Cornell espresso to the game, being as productive as I could. And what made it so strange was the backdrop. At Cornell, everyone walks like they're already late. Even at 10 in the morning, uh, their heads are down, AirPods in, legs churning around the art squad with the urgency of someone about to defuse a bomb. And in Enschede, it's not like that at all. Like, I was walking around the Sunday market, most of the shops were actually closed. I saw some people drinking beer at 8 in the morning. And it just felt like the most ordinary thing. The Netherlands has built a structurally different relationship to time. You hear it in the cobblestone under your tires, in the unhurried back and forth at the cheese stand, in the silence where you would hear a car horn in New York. just like your own college has its own relationship to time because of you, your friends, the whole structure of the college itself. And so the question that kept surfacing, the one that I couldn't bike away from, was why does my productive self fear what would happen if I relinquished into this presence? Before visiting the University of Twente, I stopped to pet some goats, as you do, as you do. And while I was there, this dad walked up to me with two kids trailing behind him. He had this like brown leather jacket on, slick, gelled hair within an inch of his life. And this expression I can only describe as happy sad. For the next 15 minutes, he proceeded to tell me about his gold business. And apparently there's good money in it. His wife had divorced and he really didn't like her anymore. And he was trying to earn enough to start over, to carry on. I smiled politely and I told him that I was not interested in the gold business. Why? Uh, because it's the gold business. I still stayed for 15 minutes though, because he seemed pained and I wanted to hear him out. What was strange is I'm 22 and he's well into his 50s, and I felt like the older one in the conversation. He divorced with his wife, and there's just no love in the way that he spoke about her anymore, which pained me because even after a painful breakup with my ex, I still loved her through the breakup. It's not like I lost all respect and admiration for this person that I knew for almost 4 years. So there's a particular loneliness that comes when you develop faster in your age cohort while still being completely your age in others. Like I can hold the pain for a divorced stranger, but I can't parallel park. I can articulate a theory of ego development and I still feel awkward at parties when I don't know what to say. Underneath it all, there's this question that keeps coming up for me, which this dad brought up. Can I keep this aspirational energy, this love for life, keep going into my 40s, my 50s, my 60s? As I wrote this blog post and I record this video, I have this recurring daydream where I'm in my late 20s, I'm walking around a city block, the sun is setting, sending this ruby red color across the horizon, but I can't appreciate it. I'm walking past a bookstore I would have wandered into 3 years ago without thinking, and now I glance at the window and I just keep moving. I play Slay the Spire 2, but more to zombify myself rather than feel the game. I read The Soul of Education, but it doesn't touch my soul. And that's where the fear is. If I stopped designing a life I love and accepted one that's just tolerable, like a hermit crab who sticks to a shitty shell because, well, their shell is nice. If I'm too present, would this make that dream become reality? And maybe that's what scares us all about being too present, is the fear that life will happen to us rather than us actively shaping it. Spending a few months being present only to realize we've lost touch with our aspirational self and we don't like the new one. Back at the hostel, I remember that one of the workers was a little older than me, from Spain, and I asked them, why did you come to Enschede? Of all the cities that you could go to in literally the whole world, you came to a small Dutch town that most people can't pronounce. And she told me she was looking for places with hostels to work at, and this had one. And then she went back to watching her show. And I was just I felt two things at once, which is one, bewilderment, just like general, almost physical confusion at how someone could cross international borders with so little narrative justification. And the second was awe, just awe at such an ability to make important life decisions with just like vibes. And I sat down and I sipped my tea and I thought about what a life would look like with less of a love for becoming, more settling into a self without direction, but being genuinely fine with it. How do we let go of that aspirational self without feeling like we're letting ourselves down? How do we not let it go entirely, but how do we need productivity less in order to feel like we're whole? I was reading from Freedom from the Known by Krishnamurti during these first few weeks in NCDA, and two ideas kept reaching me through the pages around this question. So the first was joy is presence without a clinging for repetition. The moment that we hold a good moment, that's the moment that we've already left it. And the other is that desire to become something prevents us from seeing what is. And there's no easy answer here. I want to resist the urge to pretend otherwise. Productivity and presence are not perfectly aligned. Sometimes our life chapter calls us to be more productive, and sometimes it calls us to be more present. What would it look like if we stopped trying to manage the paradox, but rather lived inside of it? And this is where my journey really came to a climax, which is I went to a lecture at the University of Twente on film cliches, more specifically, how we could make films less cliche. And surprisingly, I understood the whole thing. I thought it was going to be completely in English, but no, it was all in Dutch. So sitting in this cozy auditorium, some people had notebooks, but most with just listening. The speaker's point, as far as my Dutch comprehension could parse, is that most plots are designed with clear arcs, beginning, middle, end, kind of like the hero's journey. But if we want to transcend cliche, we need to be more okay with living in the ambiguity, just like real life, not having those clear directions all the time, stuff that doesn't make sense. And then the content at the lecture started to hit me in a different way, because I realized that stories not having tidy resolutions was my resolution for this paradox, which is there is no clear resolution between the productivity and the presence that we're looking for. We just outgrow the part of ourselves that needs it fully resolved. So I'm still in Enschede and in space. I'm still working on conscious college. I'm still ambitious in ways that occasionally startle the people around me and also myself. But I hold it with less of a tight grip now. I hold it a little lighter, like the way that you hold the handlebars on a Dutch bike. And I already know that to let something go, I already know how to let something go without losing it necessarily. I did that with my ex. The relationship ended, but the love didn't disappear. And now I'm asking, how do I do that with my productivity self? I remember a few days ago, I biked to the grocery store, and it was just a Tuesday. It was just a Tuesday. The sun was this like low copper colored, throwing long shadows across the bike path. I didn't check my phone. I didn't even think about the next article that I was going to write. And for about 4 minutes, I was just a person on a bike in a Dutch city, pedaling home with a bag of groceries. And that was enough. And then I got back to my hostel and I opened my laptop and I started writing this video. So I guess I'm still biking. I guess we're all still biking. If you like this video, I highly recommend you check out my Cosmic Journaling Kit. It's a free gamified journaling system to help you grow your presence and your productivity relationship, your emotional intelligence, your self-understanding, and your purpose with over 1,000 journaling questions in just 15 minutes a day. So check that out in the article or in the description below. As always, I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day. Eat some peanut butter, and bye-bye.